Thank you for staying with us. President Bola Tinubu has inaugurated the Presidential Economic Coordination Council, PECC, and launched the Economic Stabilisation Program. The program aims to ensure food security, improved power supply, enhance social welfare and health care, increase energy production, and overall economic transformation. During the meeting, President Tinubu emphasized the need for innovative solutions to the country's economic challenges and announced measures to stabilize the economy, enhance job creation, and foster economic security. The interventions include initiatives to increase electricity supply, oil production, and support for agriculture, healthcare, and small businesses. Vice President Kashim Shettima and Minister of Finance Wale Edun also highlighted the government's commitment and plans for economic advancement. Tony Elumelu expressed confidence in the president's target of 2 billion barrels of crude oil production per day. Now, joining us in the studio is the Chief Executive Officer of Finance with Muktar Muhammed. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you. Now, let's look at this committee put together by the president. It looks like an expanded version of the previous economic management team that he had, as it is, because we have subnationals being part of this. We have members of the National Assembly also a part of it, and then elite members of organized private sector also a part of it, because the president perhaps is looking at a holistic approach to addressing these matters. But from your perspective, this step being taken by the president, is it in the right direction?
Well, it is. Finally, I think they're beginning to realize that they need to have an holistic view of the economy and then let the private sector also come in, because they are the ones that hardly hit by some of this economic policy of government. I like the make of the team. I think I like the make of the team because you have top industrialists there, you have bankers, you have the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, you have the financial sector represented. You have virtually every sector of the Nigerian economy represented in that committee. My own problem with committees is in terms of recommendations. When these recommendations will have to pass through the president, they have to go to the National Assembly, and
well, they have to be meeting with the president, I think, monthly.
You see, when you have an economic challenge, times become the essence. Sometimes you try to do something. If you don't do it at the time you're supposed to do it, when next year you are doing it, it's already
you may not get the same result.
You get the same result. I wish it was called like a committee that has the power to implement immediately what they say they will do, giving them like a task force that will go in there and say, look, we are a task force. This is what we want to do. This is what we are doing. Giving, like, declaring a state of emergency in the economy and say, this is the team that will run this because the president have given them 6 months to turn around situation. We have 6 months. We have to act in 6 months. I like the committee. I like the make of the committee. Top industrialists, economists also are there. People that know their onions, people that have been talking all this while. So hopefully they now have an opportunity to implement what they've been saying. Just before that committee, a day before that committee, we had Aligo Dangote talked about how companies are dying because of high interest rate from the central bank. And I had an opportunity. I'm sure the governor of the central bank also is part of this team. So they really sit down. Just yesterday, I had the Mr. Governor also of Lagos State saying the same thing during the launch of the book by Professor Solodu, and saying that 30% will kill small businesses. Even in short, for the first time I'm hearing even saying that the public sector is also suffering from that hike in interest rate. So we're beginning to see people talk out, and then hopefully we'll begin to get the results. I like the make of the team, and I hope and I believe strongly with the caliber of people there, they want to go in and fail because they have an opportunity, because most of them are also running businesses. When you look at Tony Elumelu, he's in the financial sector, he's in the power sector. You look at Aligo Dangote, he's in the oil and gas sector, he's also in the power sector, he's in the manufacturing sector. So you really know where it pinches. My own is, I hope they will all have the time to be able to meet within themselves But technology is good virtually. You can meet and then you can do. But I hope they have the time. Bismarck Rwanda has been all day here talking about policy, talking about. We have an opportunity to act now, and hopefully, I strongly believe in this committee. But let's wait and see in the next 3. They are saying 6 months. I like what Aliko Dangote said. He said it's not rocket science to fix Nigerian problem. It will take less than 3 months to fix the problem economically. So I'm waiting.
Let's get down into the brass tacks, because if you look at the mainstay of Nigeria, especially the energy sector, the oil and gas sector. So I'm wondering how achievable is it that the president said we target 2 billion barrels of crude oil production per day, where we had the GMD Melekiari of the NNPC saying that we only produce 1.2 million barrels per day, and then we have the capacity or capability to shore it up to 2 million. Now the president is talking about 3 billion. I mean, 2 billion.
Million, the president talking about billion.
Billion.
So Aliko Dangote had cried out, about his refinery being sabotaged allegedly sabotaged by the IOC, and all of the intricate networks that are affecting the growth of the oil sector. So how do you think this is going to be achieved in the next 6 months?
And a state of emergency had already been declared.
Just for 2 million.
I love President Tinubu. He always say it, and then just say it against the odds, and then people involved will now begin to think it. But I have a problem with that, because in economic term, you need to look at the reality on ground, via what is achievable and deliverable. 2 billion, we are not even talking about 1 billion, we're talking about 2 billion. That is over 1,000%.
And then we have oil theft.
Even despite the state of emergency of 2 million, the state of emergency is even saying 2 million, and that 2 million is because of, you think you could do some, or you're doing 1.2. But if you look at where we're coming from, at the point we're doing about 700 million. 700,000 barrels during President Buhari's time. Then we hike it over. At the point we did 1.5 million, I think, sometime 2 months or 3 months ago. And then we came down to 1.2, where you say it was due to itches. I think the major problem in the Niger Delta in terms of our oil production is the oil theft issue. And I keep saying oil theft is not being done by the common man. It takes a lot of machinery, it takes a lot of resources to even be able to do what they are doing. So the elite are responsible, and I think they know how to deal with that issue. Sometimes what annoys me is when I hear an NPC saying that a pipeline has been operating for 2 years, for 3 years, and I was like, and you are telling us that. So how are you just discovering the issue now? Because it shows that you are not really on ground. And again, I have an issue with that, whereby you have a private security firm to come and manage our own oil pipeline. And we have the Nigerian Navy that was supposed to be responsible for that, not giving you. So there's a lot of issues, and I like what Mark Harris said, that he has declared a state of emergency on. Hopefully that state of emergency will work. That's the lifeline of the Nigerian economy. That's right. 2 billion, I don't think it's achievable in 6 months. I don't even think it's achievable in 5 years.
All right.
Because we'll need to get more oil well. Luckily, fortunately for us, we are discovering more oil well in the Borno state, the northeast, and then in Lagos state and all that. So we've not begun to say, but you can just understand the frustration Aliko Dangote was saying last week. We cannot even provide crude oil for a local refinery that in Nigeria. So, and now we are looking at 2 billion, because the president is looking at you'll be able to provide locally and be able to export. But also we will have to know that do we have the storage facilities, because OPEC quota also is there. Right. The OPEC gave us about 1.5 million barrels. So you can't. So when you have 2 billion, that means you have excess. Do you have the storage facility to even store those?
That's the big question.
That's a big question.
We need to quickly go on a break. When we return, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us.
The new Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. No need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids.
Milo! We see you. How you work hard at your craft, doing your absolute best. we know how the protein, calcium, and vitamins in Dano milk nourish you to go for it. For those big dreams, for your hustle, and for quality time with those you love. So when it comes to choosing nourishment, never compromise on the quality milk that you deserve. Go for it.
Thank you for staying with us. We still have our guest in the studio, Chief Executive Officer of Finance with Muktar Muhammed, talking with us about the President's decision to inaugurate the Presidential Economic Coordination Council and also launch of the Economic Stabilisation Program, all aimed at stabilizing the economy. And before we went on the break, Muktar, you were talking about the matter of oil theft and the optimism of the President as well with regards to producing about 2 billion barrels per day. And you were asking a critical question, do we have the storage facility for that? And we said it's a big question. But from what you know, do we have the storage facility? Maybe only Dangote has such to store such as it stands now. And that would be a plus for him. So that means we'll be able to locally produce, because the refinery have the capacity to produce about 650,000 barrels per day. So that will be a plus. If you have so much, that means local production will have enough of crude oil. And that, for now, the greatest challenge, you see, Nigeria is a very funny place sometimes. When you see some things happen, you begin to ask yourself, who is doing us, like they will say in local palace. At a point, we're struggling. We export so much of crude, and we are struggling to import refined petroleum products. Now we have a refinery that is on ground to meet our local demand of refined petroleum product. We are having a major challenge of providing crude for that same refinery that we are the 6th largest producer of crude. But why is it difficult? Why is it there? So challenge? The difficulty for me, I keep saying, is like Aligo Dangote said, there are people that are bent on not allowing anything productive to happen to this economy because of their gain. Oil mafias. The mafias. Because they have been on this for over 30 years or 40 years. They've been, there was time that we export crude to Sierra Leone. We have some Nigerians established refined a petroleum company in Cameroon that in Sierra Leone that we export our crude to Cameroon. They refine it from Sierra Leone and bring it back to Nigeria. So we have done a lot of things. Now, there need to be a change. And that, everybody will fight change. Because a lot of people that benefit from importation of refined petroleum products, you no more have to benefit from that because we can locally meet. Those that tells us the wrong number, in terms we export 1 million. Now, look, you are going to give it to a local refinery that won't want to agree with you that you are exporting 1 million. You gave us only 1 million. Why are you saying you gave us 1.5? So there's why are you saying give us 1 million? Then you tell the government we gave them 800. I am concerned because it's all about corruption. It's all about corruption because you are beginning to see that things are not going to be the same way. These are the same type of thing that we kept saying right from Good Luck. They say the cabal, the cabal, the cabal. Aligo Dangote have come out to say the cabal. And when you look at this cabal, I'm beginning to think it's not just a local cabal. Can a local cabal really stop him? It's not a local cabal. It seems to be a global cabal because when you listen to him, he said when he went to Saudi Arabia, when he met the crown prince, they called him aside and said, you cannot do that. It's not possible to build a refinery in Nigeria. And he said, no, I will do it. So that tells you that it's not a local issue. So how do we deal with these bottlenecks now? Because just this morning we saw on the papers, the sale of fuel is about over 700 naira right now, and Nigerians were looking forward to the Aliko Dangote refinery to break down this this monopoly and bring down the prices as it is. But right now, with all you have said, and the president was optimistic because he kept harping on, you know, this whole matter. How do we ensure we deal with this issue head on? Because the average Nigerian on the streets is at the heart of all of these decisions. You know,
it's just wickedness when some people pride themselves to see your country's citizens suffering because of the little gain that you gain. Even in a matter of time, you will not even be remembered. Let me say something. I think the NNPC Group Managing Director have said that he has put an emergency in oil production.
Yes.
So a state of emergency in oil production. Hopefully, that will help address the challenge that we are seeing. Remember, we're expecting Dangote refinery to come on stream either the middle of this month. That was the optimism that we had, even from Dangote itself, even until this weekend when S&P Global visited the refinery and spent about 4 hours in that refinery, the global rating agency. The head of oil and gas in Dangote was still optimistic that they will be able to pump our PMS to Nigeria as promised in July. So hopefully that will bring down our suffering. Again, the challenge about production is why people are saying you need to give them crude locally is if they begin to import crude to refine here, then the aim of us having price reduction is defeated. Because that means it's going to pay international, you know what, it's going to variation based on FX. So once it's bringing in here, clearing of goods is 1,000, 1,500, you don't expect him to sell below his cost price because it's also into the not for charity, for business. So when people start saying that and start blaming Dangote, oh, you promised us that when they start, this thing will go down. It will not go down if you are importing crude. It can only go down if you are importing, you are having the crude locally. And NNPC promised that they will sell the local crude to Dangote in Naira. So that also will help. And that will bring down the pressure on the exchange rate. That could also, even the S&P Global, when they were saying yesterday, they said Dangote refinery will be a game changer in the area of FX. And that could be what would drive down FX as it stands, because from the data you get from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, from the Central Bank of Nigeria, the largest request for FX normally comes from the importers of refined petroleum products.
Right.
So I think it's something the NNPC have declared state of emergency, but I think the president should not just sit down and fold his hand and watch. He needs to, because he is the minister. He is the minister for petroleum.
Right, right.
That portfolio have not been given to anybody, so he needs to act fast.
There's so much that we actually need to X-ray. You know, in what the PECC wants to talk. I mean, trying to look at you know, agriculture and all of that. But I'm still keen on the energy sector, where the PECC is to address Nigeria's energy security, where President Tinubu highlighted the urgency of increasing electricity generation and distribution, you know, raising it, you know, to, I think, about something megawatts, is it 6 megawatts or thereabout. But Nigeria has already suffered from collapsing grid, national grid. We suffered one just a few days ago, and then we don't know when the next one is going to happen. So what innovative solutions do you believe that can be effectively deployed to address challenges and enhance Nigeria's energy sector?
I remember when he was governor some years ago, governor of Lagos State, when he came up with an innovation. Unfortunately, what we have now, whereby state could generate their own electricity, was not available then. When he had some people come up with an invention that they would generate electricity by just mounting up their ship or their on the sea, that was an innovative technology that they would generate electricity through the water and with their ship in the water and in the Nigerian waters. But remember, that didn't see the last day of day because at that time, President Obasanjo didn't allow it to go. Now, in terms of innovation, technology have come in. It's only in Nigeria that you think technology is not needed. Technology has come in and driven a lot of things that we are having challenges with, and sometimes because of the infrastructure that we have. I have my concern about the power sector and the amount they are putting in there. I think about 600 billion, or they're about 300 billion, or I think 300 billion. Because I think that sector should be largely driven by the private sector. I don't think we should be putting that much money into that sector. I thought the president would say, look, as part of our emergency plan, for these next 6 months, we will make sure that the GINCOs or
Discos.
Not the discos. Now the discos have been privatized. Jankos? The Jankos, what they want, in charge of generation. I thought the target should be generation should be privatized. And instead of us putting money there, we have already handed over to the private sector. Why are we busy putting our hard-earned money in private businesses? And in turn, these private businesses are busy charging ordinary Nigerians so much money for electricity. So I don't think it's something we should be getting ourselves involved in. I think the government should, I thought they would be saying that we need private sector to buy up the generation. We need to generate about X amount. That 300 billion is even small compared if we want to sell up the distribution, how much we generate from that. I, for one, think that generation is key. It should have been saying we have to privatize that sector so that the government becomes fully a regulator in that sector rather than putting the funds that we don't have into those sectors. So that's my take on that. And if you do that, then you will see innovation will come in. You will see everything will change. Everything will definitely change. It also came out, just during the week, they also came out with a very good policy that said the discos will no more pay VAT again. And so those are policies that are driving growth in those sectors, using tax to grow the economy, which is something we've been talking about for a long time. So I'm happy about the energy sector, but I think what government should be doing is getting their hand off that sector than putting a dime on that sector as it stands.
Okay, because of our time, we'll have to leave this conversation here. There's so much to talk about with food security and every other thing in place. But we must thank you, Chief Executive Officer of Finance with Muktar, Muhammed. Thank you for your time.